You are standing in your kitchen. The power has been out for 48 hours. The water pressure is gone. The noises from the street outside have shifted from panicked shouting to a terrifying, predatory silence. You lock the deadbolt, pull the curtains tight, and turn to face the most important asset you have left, your pantry. There it is, a finite pile of calories, 20 cans of soup, a 10-pound bag of rice, some peanut butter, a few boxes of pasta. Your brain, desperate for control in a world spiraling into chaos, immediately starts doing the math. It's a comforting equation. You calculate that if you eat 2,000 calories a day, this food lasts you 2 weeks, but if you have the discipline to cut that in half, just 1,000 calories, you buy yourself a month. If you go extreme 500 calories, maybe you can stretch this supply for 2 months. You feel a surge of relief. You think you just used logic to double your lifespan. You think you're being smart, disciplined, and tactical. Here is the ugly truth that nobody talks about. You just signed your death warrant. That math you did. It assumes you are a car sitting in the garage idling, but you aren't a car. You are a biological machine under the most extreme stress imaginable, and by cutting your fuel intake during the critical setup phase of a collapse, you are triggering a metabolic trap known as the Starvation Paradox. You aren't stretching your survival, you are guaranteeing that you will be too weak, too stupid, and too slow to survive the threats coming for you in week 3. Let's strip away the Hollywood fantasy of the rugged survivor, nursing a single can of beans for 3 days. We need to look at the biology of what actually happens when you starve yourself while trying to work. When you drastically cut calories, your body doesn't just run leaner. It panics. It undergoes a fundamental physiological shift that survivalists rarely discuss. Your body prioritizes. It looks at your caloric deficit and decides that energy conservation is now more important than external awareness. This isn't a slow fade. It is a rapid shutdown of the very systems you need to stay alive. The first thing to go isn't your fat stores. It's your cognitive edge. Your brain is an energy hog, consuming roughly 20% of your daily caloric intake despite only weighing a few pounds. When you start rationing immediately, dropping to 800 or 1,000 calories, your blood glucose plummets. In a normal world, you get hangry. In a survival situation, you get dead. This creates a phenomenon called survival apathy. You see a task that needs doing, like boarding up a window, digging a latrine, or scouting the perimeter, and your brain, chemically hijacked by the need to conserve glucose, tells you it can wait. Let's just sit here. Let's save energy. We have dark, empirical proof of this. In 1944, as World War II raged, the University of Minnesota conducted a brutal study known as the Minnesota Starvation Experiment. They took healthy, strong men and cut their calories to simulate famine conditions, about 500 calories a day, which is likely more than what you planned to ration yourself to. The results were terrifying. It wasn't just that the men got thin. Their personalities disintegrated. They became obsessed with food to the point of psychosis, but more importantly, they became socially withdrawn and completely apathetic. They stopped caring about the war, their futures, or their safety. They didn't want to move. They froze in place. Now imagine that mindset in a scenario where looters are checking door handles. You are sitting in the dark, rationing your rice, and when you hear a noise outside, your starvation-addled brain lacks the executive function to formulate a complex, defensive plan. You hesitate. You rationalize that it's probably nothing because checking it requires energy you don't have. That hesitation is fatal. But the starvation paradox gets worse. It's not just your mind. It's the way your body metabolizes tissue under stress. There is a massive difference between fasting in a calm, controlled environment and starving in a high cortisol survival scenario. When the grid goes down, your body floods with cortisol, the primary stress hormone. Cortisol is catabolic. It breaks things down for quick energy. In a high-stress environment, if you are not eating enough, cortisol tells your body that you are in immediate physical danger, like you are running from a predator. The body thinks, I don't need slow-burning fat right now. I need explosive energy. So instead of burning that spare tire around your waist, your body begins to cannibalize your muscle tissue. It breaks down the protein in your biceps, your quads, and even your heart to create glucose. By rationing food in the first week, you are literally eating your own engine to keep the lights on. You are stripping the very muscle mass you need to haul water, chop wood, and fight off attackers. You are making yourself physically frail at the exact moment when the physical demands of your life are skyrocketing. Think about it. In a collapse, you aren't sitting at a desk. You are hauling buckets of water from a creek, which weighs 8 pounds per gallon. You are carrying firewood. You are patrolling. You are burning 3,000, maybe 4,000 calories a day just to maintain a baseline of safety. If you feed that furnace 500 calories of rationed beans, you will hit a wall within 72 hours. You will experience dizziness, tremors, and a total collapse of physical endurance. This leads us to the most counterintuitive rule of survival. Feasting, not fasting, is the only way to survive the initial chaos. The first 2 weeks of any disaster are the setup phase. This is when the most work needs to be done. You need to fortify your shelter, establish water collection, hide your supplies, and potentially move to a safer location. This requires massive energy output. If you ration now, you fail to build the infrastructure that keeps you alive later. You need to eat. You need to eat the heavy stuff. You need to consume the perishables in your fridge before they rot. And you need to fuel your body like a workhorse. Think of your body as a biological battery. By overeating or eating normally in the first few weeks, you are banking that energy in a way that is far more useful than food sitting on a shelf. You are building a metabolic buffer. This connects directly to a lethal biological reality known as rabbit starvation or protein poisoning. This usually happens later in a survival timeline, but your decisions now determine if it kills you then. Here is how rabbit starvation works. If you survive the initial collapse and run out of your stockpiled carbs and fats you might have to rely on hunting or trapping, you catch rabbits, squirrels, or maybe deer. This is lean meat, extremely lean. The human liver has a limit on how much protein it can process without fat or carbohydrates to help synthesize it. If you eat nothing but lean meat, your body cannot absorb the nutrients. You will feel full, your stomach will be distended, but you will waste away. You will have diarrhea, headache, and an insatiable craving for fat until you die. This is where your rationing mistake comes back to haunt you. If you ration your high-fat canned foods, your Spam, your peanut butter, your oils, and you starve yourself thin in the first month, you have no body fat left. When you switch to that lean rabbit meat, you have no internal buffer. However, if you eat well during the setup phase, keeping your body fat percentage reasonable and maintaining your muscle mass, your own body fat can serve as the necessary lipid buffer to help you digest that lean protein later. By trying to save food, you destroy the biological machinery required to process the food you find in the wild. And let's talk about the thermodynamics of rationing. A calorie is a unit of heat. That is its definition. If you are in a cold environment, a winter blackout, for instance, your body uses an enormous amount of energy just to keep your core temperature at 98.6 degrees. If you restrict calories, your internal furnace dims, you get colder faster. As your body temperature drops, your dexterity fails. You fumble with matches. You can't load a magazine. You can't tie a knot. Hypothermia isn't just about freezing to death. It's about becoming useless before you freeze. By rationing food, you are voluntarily turning down your internal thermostat, making you vulnerable to the elements in a way that a well-fed person is not. So, what is the strategy? When the event happens, you do not ration. Not yet. You identify the perishables, the meats, the cheese, the ice cream melting in the freezer, and you feast. You share it with your immediate group to keep morale high and bellies full. You use that surge of caloric energy to work 18-hour days securing your safety. You build the walls, you dig the trenches, you haul the water. You turn those calories into tangible survival assets. Security, water systems, and heat. Only once the perimeter is secure, the heavy lifting is done, and your activity level drops to a maintenance phase. Do you begin to ration the shelf-stable dry goods? You transition your metabolism slowly. You don't shock it into starvation mode on day one. You want to enter the long-term survival phase with muscle on your frame and a clear, well-fed brain that has already solved the immediate tactical problems. The tragedy of the modern survivalist is the image of the hoarder. We are taught that he with the most cans wins, but history is littered with the corpses of people who died with full pantries. They died because they lacked the energy to fight off an infection. They died because they were too lethargic to wake up when the smoke detector didn't go off. They died because they did the math on a piece of paper but forgot the biology of the machine. Don't become a ghost guarding a pile of beans. Eat the food, do the work, survive the chaos. Because when the dust settles, the only thing that matters is that you are still standing strong enough to face whatever comes out of the darkness next.